Welcome to your first lesson of learning guitar with Demoz School of Music. Your teacher for guitar is Tony Das, a celebrated guitarist who has performed with well-known bands for 2 decades. A professional musician who has played at some of the biggest music festivals in India, he has toured the UK and the Gulf as well. As a guitarist, bassist and singer, he has worked on several film scores and movie songs.
Hi, my name is Tony Das. I'm with Demoz School of Music, and I'd like to welcome you to this first episode of our 25-episode course on how to play the guitar. This is a beginner level course, and we'll be covering quite a number of topics for this beautiful and ever popular instrument. It has been for many, many decades now, as you probably know. I think what's contributed to its popularity is the fact that it's used in so many kinds of music, and it's portable. You can take it around with you wherever you go. That's kind of hard to do with a piano or a drum set. But yes, you wouldn't be here if you didn't love the guitar. So that's kind of testament to the whole thing. So now in our first episode, we're not really going to learn too much about music, but we are going to learn about the parts of the guitar, what the guitar is made up of. And that's because, a little later in the course, when we talk about certain parts of the guitar or where you have to do certain things, I don't want there to be any confusion about what exactly I'm talking about. If I say do something at the nut, I'm not talking about me, although I'm a nut who plays the guitar, and that's a very bad joke, and I apologize. So let's get on with it then. So the first thing that you usually notice when you see the guitar is this giant kind of area made of wood. The whole guitar is made of wood on an acoustic guitar. And this is known as the body, as it's pretty much most of the guitar. It makes up most of the guitar. And this is the body of the guitar, on top of which we have what's called the soundboard. It's called the soundboard because it plays, I'd say, probably the largest role in contributing to the tone of the guitar, apart from the strings, of course. The tone starts at the strings, but the soundboard plays the biggest role in contributing to the tone of the guitar. That's why very often people are very particular, guitar makers and luthiers are very particular about the kind of material that you make the soundboard out of. In fact, there are stories of legendary luthiers who have said, a luthier is a guitar maker, who have said that they could make an entire guitar out of clay and just have the top made of wood, and they could make a good sounding guitar. So that is kind of a testament to how much this part of the guitar contributes to the sound. So this is the soundboard. Over here we have, it's a hole in the soundboard, and as you might guess, it's called the sound hole. It's where the sound goes in from the strings. It reverberates inside the body. It gets amplified, and then it gets projected back out. And that's how we hear the acoustic guitar as loudly as we do. Around the sound hole, we have usually a very ornamental piece of decoration here. It's called the Rosette. It's not necessary at all. In fact, it's not present on a lot of guitars. But when it is present on a guitar, it's usually made of something very pretty. Here on this guitar, it's something like a mother of pearl or abalone kind of material, and it's very nice to look at. Then very closely attached to the rosette most of the time is this piece of nylon or plastic called the Pickguard. And it's called the Pickguard because it guards the guitar from the pick. This is the plectrum that we often use to play the guitar. It's also called the pick. So when we're strumming the guitar, usually when we're playing more rhythmic styles, we might have the tendency to hit the guitar, especially on the downstrokes, sometimes even on the upstrokes. So what the pickguard does is it protects the wood of the guitar from getting scratches and dents and making your guitar look bad. Of course, the pickguard does get scratched in the bargain, but nobody really minds. They're easily replaceable. You can even paste another pickguard on top of this. Then we have this whole assembly here, which is called the bridge. And it fastens to the body end of the guitar, and it lets us anchor the strings down at this end so that they can finish up here at this end, which is called the headstock. But more about the bridge. The bridge is made up of this assembly here, which is the main part of the bridge itself. And then we have on this guitar, it's a plastic sort of material that goes under the strings. This is called the saddle. It's not necessarily always plastic. Sometimes it's made of certain metallic alloys. Sometimes it's made of more space age materials with more research that's going into making better sounding instruments. So this lets the strings pass over cleanly and without any obstruction and go to the headstock end. And what's fastening the strings here at this end are these pins. These are called the bridge pins, and they hold the strings down into the bridge. So at the end of these strings, if you ever restrung a guitar or bought a new set of strings, you might have seen at the end of the strings, the string is wound around a tiny cylindrical looking device. So that goes into, we pull out this bridge pin, that cylindrical end, the tiny cylindrical end is called a ball end because it's literally like the size of a tiny ball. So the ball end goes in here, and then we push the bridge pin back in and it fastens it securely. So now heading on down this way over to the headstock, we have another of the most important parts. This is the part of the guitar you're going to be most acquainted with, and this is the neck. And it's called the neck because it looks rather like a neck, probably on a giraffe or something. If this were the body, here's the neck. And it is the part where we are going to do all of our playing. Of course, the right hand is involved in striking the strings, but the left hand is involved in creating the notes. And the neck is made up of the neck itself, which refers to the whole assembly, as well as sometimes more specifically just the back. And it's also made up of the fretboard, which is the part that faces the top of the guitar and the part that houses, or the part that contains, the frets. And the frets are these metal strips here, often called fret wire to be more specific, because the frets are also referred to, or rather the space between the fret wire is often also referred to as the frets when we're talking about placing our fingers on certain frets. So the fret wire is this metal, these metal lines you can see here in between the strings. I'm trying to part the strings so it's a little more obvious. And these are what make it possible for us to change the pitch of every string. By holding down a string at a certain fret, we shorten the length of the string, and therefore we change the pitch of the string. And so this is really the most important part of playing music on the guitar. It's what lets us change notes. And without changing notes, we wouldn't really be able to play much on the instrument. Then going further down from the neck, we have, as I spoke about earlier, we have what's called the nut. It's this small plastic or bone or sometimes steel, different materials. It's a small piece here where all of the strings guided from the bridge go straight down and pass over in as straight a line as possible over through small grooves dug into this piece here called the nut. And from the nut they head on into these devices here, which are called the tuning posts. And the tuning posts are located on the overall section of the guitar called the headstock, this big section. Not so big compared to this, but this whole section. So the strings go into the tuning posts, and the tuning posts are controlled by these things called the tuning pegs. It's one whole assembly. And when we increase the tension on the string by turning the tuning peg a certain direction, we change the pitch of the string. So if we tighten the string, the pitch goes up. And if we loosen the string, the pitch comes down. Or if you're more of a science person, when we tighten the string, the frequency of the vibration of the string goes up, and when we loosen the string, the frequency of the vibration of the string goes down. And last but definitely not least, again, one of the most important parts of making any kind of sound on the guitar is the strings. Now, without these strings, you wouldn't really be able to do much on the guitar. And these are, again, often made of some kind of steel, some kind of metallic alloys. On classical guitars, they're made of nylon, etc., etc. But these are the part of the guitar that we have to do the most manipulation of. They are where the tone originates. The tone originates in the strings. The tone originates from the combination of our hands and the strings. Then it goes inside the guitar and gets amplified or magnified and comes out. And that's all of these things together give us this beautiful instrument that we call the guitar. And we're going to get started learning what to do with all these parts of the guitar in our next lesson. So I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to go back and rewind if there are any things that you missed. And if you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next lesson.